Hello and welcome back to a brand new episode of the Pick a Side podcast. We are here after the three other games of the NFL wildcard weekend just finished up. And because we're here, the Broncos lost. That was the stipulation. If they won, we would not show up. But since they lost, we are here. And just a quick, brief brush over these games. Bills beat the Broncos 31-7. The Eagles beat the Packers 22-10, and the Commanders beat the Bucs 23-20. That was the best game of the playoffs that we saw by far, and we probably should start there. But before that, how are you fellas doing?
I'm doing all right. Can't complain. Broncos lost. That definitely is a bummer. Silver lining, I get to see you guys tonight. That's huge. But it took 5 games for us to finally get a great playoff game. That includes my Broncos. But this was a hell of a game. And how other way would it end other than a doink? But a pretty unfortunate, let me not say unfortunate, a pretty underwhelming wild card weekend so far.
I feel great. I feel amazing. Non-stop dubs after non-stop dubs. I got a lot to say today. A lot of funny jokes to get off. A lot of takes to run back on, just to laugh at, shit like that. But having a good weekend so far. So that's all I can say.
Can't wait to ruin or end Riv's winning streak next week when Baltimore goes and spanks Buffalo. I can't wait for that. But other than that, man, doing good. Philly took care of business, like I've been telling y'all for a long, long time. Philly's taking care of business. Jayden Daniels, of course.
You gotta let that go, bro.
Telling you guys about Jayden Daniels for a long, long, long time about Jayden Daniels. So overall, good day.
It was unfortunate. I feel like 2 of my teams have been eliminated from the playoff cycle, the Packers and the Chargers yesterday, but I have 2 left. I have the Chiefs, thank God, and then I have the Vikings still in it tomorrow, and we're hoping that the Vikings pull it out against the Rams.
What about your Baltimore Ravens, bro?
Are we giving him the Vikings as a fandom?
I actually thought about what other team I should root for. And after the game Jayden Daniels just had, I think I'm going with the Washington Commanders. The Commanders are special. Shout out to the Commanders, man. They're special. They're special.
Brother, you was just a Cowboys fan last year.
Jayden Daniels tonight showed what real quarterbacking looks like, Riff. That's what he showed. So sit down,
what are you trying
take
to imply?
notes, watch, and pay attention.
Who isn't a real quarterback?
Did you see Jordan Love tonight?
Oh, I saw him. I saw him. He's playing with an elbow injury. Give him some slack.
He was fucking horrible.
This dude.
He was dog shit.
Okay, listen, I have eligibility to hop on the Commanders bandwagon because Terry McLaurin is scary Terry, baby. You know what I'm saying? Sorry, I don't make the rules. I just follow them.
Dude, Joel. One thing we
do
do
in his age 29 breakout season, 1,100
yards. Shut your mouth.
One thing we do over here in NFC East, we don't do that. This is real hate. This is real rivalries over here. You can't just go pogo sticking from the Cowboys to the Commanders, bro.
I'm not a Cowboys fan,
brother. You was talking about Super Bowl Cowboys for like 3 years in a row.
You had them win the division.
I'm not a Cowboys fan.
Film is out on you. Like, we had the film, we have the evidence.
And I'm a Cowboys fan. Just because I pick a team to make the Super Bowl doesn't mean I'm a fan.
Brother, you're a big Dak guy. You was talking real high on the Cowboys. The film is out on you, and you can't just jump on the Commanders now. Like, what are we doing? Now you're a fan?
I've been jumping on Terry. I've been bouncing on Terry for a while.
Oh my God.
Pause.
You resume. Resume. You've been cooking.
You love Terry. I don't mean you got to be like, I love CeeDee Lamb. I hate the Cowboys though.
Well, that's different. You're a real Eagles fan. I'm not a fan of any NFC East team, Riff.
And you love Josh.
Yes,
Allen.
and as a Jets fan, I just saw Jayden Daniels replicate an all-time great Jets quarterback tonight. A rookie quarterback winning a playoff game on the road. The stories write themselves.
I'm gonna be honest. Jayden Daniels looked like Lamar Jackson tonight.
He looked amazing, and we could start with the Commanders game. This was the best game of Wild Card Weekend by far so far. We'll see if the Vikings and the Rams live up to this billing. It felt like the team that had the ball last was going to win this game, and it really just came down to who made less mistakes, and the Baker fumble was the turning point of the game. That's pretty much it.
The lone mistake that the Tampa Bay Buccaneers made ended up being the reason why they're probably not celebrating tonight. And unfortunate for Baker, because I thought that he played a pretty great game. He had one miscommunication with him and McMillan that led to this. It sucks. Bucky Irving had himself a solid ball game. Mike Evans, of course, he dominated the matchup versus Lattimore. Really didn't matter who was playing defense on him. He was getting the better of him. Kate Otten made some nice plays. But at the end of the day, like you said, Joel, whoever was going to get the ball last was going to win this game. And I have to give a lot of credit to the balls that the Commanders showed throughout the entirety of this game. On 3rd and short, on 4th and short, they were aggressive. They knew what they wanted to do. They trust their rookie quarterback in these high leverage situations. And almost every single time he stepped into the plate and he was able to pull it out. The 4th down in the red zone, you could argue that was defensive pass interference. So that's another one that, hey, that's one of those that they went for it. It didn't work out. But if you ask me, I think that they could have stayed on the field if the flag was thrown like it should have been. But regardless, you have to give nothing but praise to Jayden Daniels and the Washington Commanders. The level of playmaking that he provides, it's changing the landscape of how we view the Washington Commanders for the future. When you have a difference at the quarterback position, when you have this level of playmaking brought to your team, yeah, we're talking about a potential Super Bowl caliber team. Maybe not this season, but years down the road, because you have a pillar that you can now build around. You start to get a little bit more skill positions, players on this team. You start to get a little bit more on that defense. And when you have Jayden Daniels playing at this level, when he can throw as accurately as he can, when he can extend plays the way that he can, he won this game with his legs tonight. You have to give him endless praise. Shout out to what they've been able to do. A rookie quarterback going ahead and giving them their first playoff win since 2005. 100% shout out to the Commanders and Jayden Daniels.
Yeah, I tweeted about this, and people thought I was trolling. No, I actually hate that this guy's so fucking good, because now I have to deal with him twice in my division. You know,
he's the best quarterback in the division.
Okay, like we're the best team in the division by far, so that shit doesn't move me. But I'll say that, you know, Jayden, he played great tonight. You know, a rookie, and they kept talking about it, a rookie having that much composure, that much just confidence in his game, especially in the 4th quarter. In a playoff game, to just be able to execute, make plays with his feet, understand the situation, you know, be able to just be, you know, keep his composure alive. I think that was huge. And then the fact that Terry made some big plays, De'Ami Brown made some big plays. I mean, this offense, which Austin Eckler at times made some big plays. I mean, this offense just had a bunch of guys that came up for him big. And we talked about it. You know, this Commanders Bucs game was going to be about who made one mistake or whose offense was going to have the ball at the end of the game. And the Commanders had a lot of opportunities where, you know, they decided to go for it on 4th down, which at sometimes I felt like, you know, you could have just taken the points. But, you know, they trusted their offense enough. They trusted their defense to get a few stops, and they'll know they'll get the ball back. And, you know, for Tampa Bay, first off, shout out to Mike Evans. He had a big game. You know, was absolutely destroying Lattimore. You know, shout out to Baker Mayfield. Shout out to Bucky Irving. Bucky Irving was playing really well this game. Kate Otten had a big play in the 4th. But yeah, this like Baker fumbling, it's not that Baker fumbled, it's where he fumbled. He fumbled deep into their territory. You fumbled in the middle of the field, maybe it's a different vibe, maybe they get a stop, but fumbling that close to your end zone really puts you in a tough position. And if I'm not mistaken, the Commanders came up with 3 points, or either way, they came up with some points on that possession, and that really hurts you. I feel like if you didn't fumble at that place, or if you didn't fumble at all, maybe you go down there, you score, or you get 3 points yourself. But that was really kind of the moment you look at where maybe it was Baker miscalculating or something like that, or he just didn't get the snap off right. But that was the moment you look in this game like, damn, this is the moment where we felt like we lost this game. But, you know, like Drew mentioned, first win for the Commanders since 2005. That's almost 20 years ago. You know, that's so long ago. Shout out to Commanders. They're building something great. And, you know, like you mentioned, when you have somebody at the quarterback spot, it says a rookie, you know, you can now build your team around him for years to come. This definitely puts you in a great spot because, you know, the NFC is run by great teams. You know, this isn't the AFC where we have quarterbacks that are demons. No, this is an NFC where you build a great team. That's how you operate in this conference. So for the Commanders, you kind of already have that quarterback that can kind of show you he can be that. Now it's just about building a great team.
So that fumble, it led to a touchdown.
There we go. Okay.
And then the other operational issue later, when they were on 3rd and 1, like a bad snap led to them getting stuffed and settling for a field goal. So just like those operational issues really cost the Buccaneers points. What do you got to say, Dehls?
Yeah, I mean, Jayden Daniels is the story of the day. He's the story of the night. It's hard not to look at this team and just reference the Texans from last year, right? Going into this year, we had very little expectations. First time, or I shouldn't say first time head coach, but new head coach, defensive minded, play callers that we were probably skeptical about, and Bobby Slowick and Cliff Kingsbury, and quarterback. So I think even had questions coming out of college, even though they were number 2 overall pick, right? The fact that Jayden Daniels is this good already, I know he's an older prospect, right? The fact that he's this good, this ready, and is already winning playoff games and is not looking outmatched going up against Todd Bowles, it really goes to show how great this guy is and what he's going to be. I tweeted out the way we were talking about Jordan Love and CJ Stroud last year. Jayden Daniels should be in the same conversation, right? He should be looked at as a top 7, top 8 quarterback after the year he just put up, especially when you look around and it's Terry McLaurin as wide receiver 1, and he's been working with Diami Brown and Zacchaeus, and Zach Ertz is having a rejuvenated season in Washington. He isn't really doing it with the most skilled players to help him out, right? So what he's been able to do this year to get a playoff win on the road, insanely impressive. It felt like as the game got on, he got more comfortable too. I felt like those first couple possessions, those first couple of drives, Todd Bowles was sending a ton of pressure, and he didn't do a great job, I thought, of dealing with it. But as the game got on, he got more and more comfortable. Of course, he was using his legs a ton too, but this looks like another superstar quarterback. And the NFC needs superstar quarterbacks because they're all in the AFC right now. And Jayden Daniels looks like, if I had to rank all NFC quarterbacks and who has the best chance to become a superstar, Jayden Daniels is probably the top of that list.
And like Cam Newton said, that definition of just becoming a game changer. Jayden Daniels is a game changer. And I feel like the way that you have to play him, defenses have to play him. Like we saw it a couple times with Tampa Bay where there were usually you drop 2 linebackers in coverage in those zone coverages. But against the Commanders, they have to stay up at the line just in case that he scrambles. Like there's so much pull that he has because he can use his legs at such an efficient level. I was looking at these stats, and there were only 2 punts in this game. The Buccaneers punted twice. The Commanders didn't punt at all. And I think what's been so impressive about their season is their willingness to go for it on 4th down. That has followed them into the playoffs. They were 3 for 5 on 4th down. But also, like, this is legitimately a top 5 offense this year, being led by a rookie quarterback. And I think that's what makes it that much more impressive. And the Buccaneers, it's going to suck not watching their offense anymore because I think Liam Cohen might be gone. He's that good of a play caller. And this wasn't even like the best Baker game. Baker had some good moments. Mike Evans dominated the Lattimore matchup. But the bright spot of their offense really was the ground game. Like Bucky Irving was just dominating them. And the Commanders have their work cut out for them trying to defend David Montgomery and Jahmyr Gibbs next week. But definitely enjoy this one. This was a special game.
Dehls, is this the guy you put over Herbert? Does he take the 5 spot?
Yeah, I don't know if I could do it just yet, but I mean, he's in the range. He's in there. He's in striking distance. If he goes and has another elite regular season next year, he wins a playoff game again, it's going to be hard to keep him out of those conversations.
Dude, he actually looked just like Lamar Jackson today. I did not know if there's another quarterback that could replicate Lamar's style of play because I didn't know if he'd see a level of athlete like Lamar Jackson again at the quarterback position. Anthony Richardson was supposed to be that guy, but of course he's not that level of passer. Jayden Daniels looks like Lamar. And if you look like Lamar, that means that you're in conversations for being one of the best quarterbacks in the league.
We have these super chats. Santos goes, I'll be rooting for Joel Moran and Drew's Rams tomorrow. And glad the Eagles won today so Riff can show up to work.
If the Eagles would have lost, you wouldn't have been here, Riv?
I don't entertain Santos.
Oh, that's it? We're done with him? Yeah, Santos was really trying to get a tweet off on my Broncos.
Yeah, I don't
He tried like 4 different times. I didn't see if any of them banged, though.
Chris Bass goes, no, you can't hop on the bandwagon, Mr. Moran. You said Jayden was going to be a bust. Also, Daniels clears love. Top 3 quarterback in 3 NFC easily.
Did you say that Jayden was going to be a bust? You said that?
Oh, I probably did.
Oh, no, probably. 100%.
Did you guys see they had a graphic, the Commanders' 4th down conversion percentage this year?
It's probably
83%,
well,
87%.
87,
yes. Their
Do you know the
first
second place, what their percentage is?
60
probably like
something.
50%.
It's Lions.
Buffalo is at 72%. You have four teams
Bro.
at 70+%, but it's 72%. Buffalo, Washington, 87%.
We're
That's
both just spitballing answers. The Commanders, the first time they missed on fourth down was in this game. Coming into this game, they were perfect. Every fourth down, they converted coming into this game, but they missed two, and that's what brought the percentage down. No, but I watched Jayden with fresh eyes now after basically the first 3 weeks. Like, it's pretty much.
Yeah, when you do it at an
fact.
NFL level, who really cares
You
what
know.
you do in college?
So Caleb Belts says Jayden Daniels has entered top 5 conversations.
I don't know, Dehls. You're taking him over Matty Stafford already?
Nah, I think Stafford's still over him.
right.
Herbert's 6 now anyway, right? Like, he's not 5 anymore. He's 6. So we don't even got to talk about Herbert just yet.
Oh, poor Herbert. He's dropped so far down. My goodness. Okay. Ipatayo Fadayomi says, I can't believe I paid to say this, but Joel rooting for Green Bay and Skull is illegal in 50 states.
He's right.
But for real, keep the content up, gang. Okay.
Appreciate it.
So does this mean that I have to pick between one of them?
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, it's too
Brother,
late. He's going to pick the Vikings because
Brother, you do it in every division you root for. Let's just call it how we see it, brother.
If I have to pick one of them, I'm picking the team that's still in the playoff race, baby. Yeah. Let's go. We're here. Let's go, baby. Let's go. Mason Lapikinski says Josh Jacobs hinted at going to get Max Crosby and Devontae Adams after the game. If the Packers are able to fix the pass rush and add a true number one, that's the next step.
Yo, Mason, why your pick look like that?
I like this. I like this super chat because it leads perfectly into the Green Bay and Eagles game. The Eagles beat the Packers 22-10. I don't know if they had no chance, like Riv was leading on to say, "Oh, I'm glad that you brought some Eagles representation on this stream."
You're welcome.
Yes, shout out to Riv.
If not for Joel, Riv would have 0 Eagles gear.
Yes, I'm glad he brought some Eagles representation on the screen. But defensive slugfest. That's what this game was. We could start wherever you want to start, Riv. The floor is all yours.
Just enough. I got it. Just stop talking. First of all my gear is shout out to the fans from Straight Fans. I don't essentially buy gear, so shout out to Dehls. Shout out to Chelsea actually, because Chelsea is the one that blessed with the Eagles stuff. But I guess because that's Dell's girlfriend, I have to say shout out to Dehls too. So shout out to Dehls. Forgot who got me this, but shout out to whoever got me this. Listen, Eagles Packers, man. What can you say? I mean, Drew, Dehls, we've come a long way. You know, we've come a long way from Green Bay winning the Super Bowl. We've come a long way from, you know, people talking about how this receiving core, they don't need a number one because they got a collective group of really good guys. You know, we've come a long way from saying Jordan Love is this superstar primetime guy and how this defense has all this talent in the world and stuff like that. Listen, man, we whipped their ass. Like, I know the score may not seem like this, but defensively, bro, they couldn't do anything. Like, there was nothing this Green Bay offense could do. This Eagles defense is elite from top to bottom, from the defensive line to the linebackers to the corners to the defensive coordinator. I mean, this defense, I can't speak enough on how good this defense is. I mean, from guys like Nolan Smith to Jalen Carter to Milton to Zach Bond to Quinyon to Cooper to Reed to Darius Slay, who's still showing you he can make some plays still. This defense was pretty much all over Green Bay. They controlled the trenches from on the offensive side and the defensive side. I felt like the trench work was really where you saw Philly make their mark. And Philly just came out and they felt like they were the more physical team. They were more the imposing team. I mean, you saw a couple of their tackles were a little bit aggressive, angry. They hit them a little bit hard. Like, this Eagles team came ready to play. And of course, you know, it's nothing like a Eagles home game in the playoffs. You get that feel when you're in Philly, the lights are bright, you know, the fans come out and they show out. For Jordan Love, there was a couple plays where I saw like he was a little bit injured. A couple of his throws definitely looked a little funny. Some of them were too high. Some of them were behind the quarterback. Some of them were not behind the receiver, excuse me. But you can chalk that up to he just choking it up and not showing up. Like, we can blame the injury all day, or we can just be real. The brother stunk. He just wasn't good in this game. Like, the Eagles defense got pressure. They were able to sack him. That offensive line for the Packers just couldn't hold up. Their receivers got locked the fuck up. I didn't even know they were out there some of the times because this Eagles secondary is so good. The one bright spot, though, Josh Jacobs. He's the one who legitimately came to play. He was a dog out there. He was breaking tackles. He was able to get yards. He was able to do his thing. He really kept his team within the game. That touchdown he scored, I think that was their only touchdown. Hilarious. But that touchdown he scored was a big touchdown, something that they needed. But this team felt like, I don't know why people call this team a dark horse. They didn't win any big games all regular season. You know, they may have been in games, but you saw in the fourth quarter, every game, it felt like they were outmatched, you know, whether it was against the Lions, whether it was against the Vikings, whether it was against the Eagles in Brazil. But as you can see, we're back on home turf and it doesn't matter. It actually looks worse. Brazil might have helped them. This Green Bay Packer team never felt like it can put together a strong 1 quarter through 4 quarter, a strong, consistent effort on both ends to really seem like a contender. It always felt like this team was a tier below these other teams to me. Shout out to you, Dehls, for that shirt. So for me, it's just Jordan Love. Yeah, he went out sad. He kind of went out like Justin Herbert. I do hate that for you, Joel. But he is still young. What Green Bay needs is to get a legit pass rusher. They need a number 1 wide receiver. And that's just what you got to go with. I think Green Bay, they got Josh Jacobs. I think you got a collection of number 2s, number 3s. You need a number 1. But for the Eagles, shout out to my boys. We dominated, did what we needed to do, and now we're off to the second round.
You know, the offense struggled for Green Bay. There's no doubt. And I think most of those struggles fall on Jordan Love, just not being accurate today. This was far from a domination, though. I mean, this game was a defensive slugfest. The turnover that the Eagles got on the first play of the game, which was questionable because Keyshawn Nixon looked like he recovered it. It led to the Eagles' only touchdown in the first half. And the Packers also missed a field goal in this game. This game felt a lot closer. It was a back and forth defensive battle. And the reason why the Packers can hang with these teams is because that defense has been elite this year. And without Jair Alexander, that secondary really played well. I know Carrington Valentine got stuffed by Dallas Goedert. Dallas Goedert just has a major strength and weight advantage over him. It's a tight end against a corner. But Carrington Valentine played really well. The young corners played really well. The lack of a pass rush is a serious issue. But after that first drive where we kind of felt like the game could have gotten ugly, because I know after the Eagles scored so quickly, it felt like, oh, the Eagles could really win by like 30 points here. The Packers defense really stepped up in a big time way, and they gave the offense chances to win that game. It's just, this has been the storyline of the Packers all season in these type of games. It's self-inflicted mistakes. Jordan Love is one of the league leaders in drop percentage. Christian Watson wasn't in this game, and the offense with him and without him, the splits from an explosive play percentage are huge. Jayden Reed gets hurt. Romeo Doubs gets hurt, and it was just unfortunate because he was wearing a Guardian cap too and still suffered a head injury going to the ground. Elton Jenkins, their best interior offensive lineman, got hurt as well. Josh Myers got hurt later in the game. The Eagles defensive line already had a major advantage, and we know how elite the Eagles defense is. But there were just too many moments that the Packers just didn't convert. The field goal miss from chip shot range, Jordan Love in the red zone just overshooting Malik Heath just a little bit. Malik Heath also slipped on his release, so Jordan Love probably thought he was going to be further deeper into the pylon, and he wasn't there. So there was just these mistakes, and the Packers, to me, after like week 6, never really felt like they were a team that we're going to click and put it all together, because the offensive consistencies, they just weren't there. They just weren't the same offense they were last year. Their defense stepped up in a major way, and I think the bright spot is that Jeff Hafley is legitimately like a great defensive coordinator. But this season is what it is. Right. Jordan Love did not play well this season, but Jordan Love is going to be fine, and Jordan Love is going to be back next season. And we see that the Packers have a load of good receivers, and all the debates that we got into in the offseason, like who's going to break out? Is it going to be Watson, Wicks, Reed? It was none of them. So the Packers need to go out and they need to find somebody that can dictate how defenses have to play you from a coverage perspective. Because not only did it come to this game all hobbled, but even when they're healthy, they're just not one guy that you can trust. And, Jordan Love has to be better. But, the Eagles dominated. I mean, I picked them to win this game. This wasn't a surprising result to me. I was expecting to come here and talk to you in this manner. But, yeah, not a good game from the Packers. And shout out to the Eagles. They'll likely be facing the Vikings next, or the Rams, either of them.
Go ahead, Joel.
Here we go. Sorry, froze for a second there. This was about what I expected from this game. Honestly, I did think it was going to be more defensive minded. I did think the Eagles were going to win this game. Talk about the Packers first, because the Jordan Love conversation, Joel, you're a Jordan Love guy, right? I think it's more than fair to you to be like, oh yeah, Jordan Love's going to be fine, this and that. He definitely has some flaws. He definitely has some flaws. He is a gunslinger. He is going to throw a lot of interceptions. I feel like he isn't always the most fundamentally sound when it comes to just him in the pocket, but he still gives you those high upside plays, which is why if you want to say he's going to be fine, that's okay, because he has athleticism and a big arm, and I do see franchise quarterback written all around him. With that being said, he played like dog shit today. This was one of the worst Jordan Love games I have seen in his career, maybe the worst Jordan Love game I've seen in his career. I'll cut him the slack. Ton of injuries. The wide receivers were all banged up. 100% get that. He, separately from that, did not play well, right? This is a really tough environment to go into and play if your players or if your teammates are healthy. The fact that he had to deal with the injuries did not help. But let's get one thing clear. He did not help his case either, right? There were times that he could have made better throws, better decisions, and he didn't do it. From the Eagles side of things, you win the game, you move on, get the W, case closed, whatever. We won't harp on it too much. The passing attack worries me. The passing attack is still a little bit suspicious, I think. This is Jalen Hurts' first game playing in nearly a month, so I want to give him some slack there. But this was a passing attack that, outside of those last couple weeks pre-injury, we heard the A.J. Brown noise. We heard the inconsistencies coming from the locker room. Just the passing attack not really being on the same page, or at least what we hadn't seen when the Eagles were at their peak of their powers and made the Super Bowl in 2022. So I still have some questions about that passing attack. The thing that the Eagles give you, though, with Saquon Barkley and that defense is you have the highest floor in the NFL. Having Saquon Barkley, who it feels like anytime he gets the ball on 1st and 10 can get you 7-8 yards, and now you're dealing with 2nd and 2s for majority of the game, it makes playing offense really, really easy. And then the defense, I do think, is the best in football. So having those two aspects on your team make this team incredibly safe week to week. It's just that last maybe 5 to 10% you need to win a Super Bowl, to beat Detroit and then go into the AFC and beat KC, Baltimore, or the Buffalo Bills, whoever it might be. That's just that one remaining piece that I need to see, because I feel like we still haven't seen a month stretch, which we won't now, but even in the regular season where everything was clicking, offense, defense, run game, all in a line. I feel like for the most part, the defense and run game has been there. The passing attacks had its moments. It's had 2 or 3 weeks against specific opponents. It's looked really good, but I still have my questions about, can they consistently have a successful passing game? And the thing is, they really might not need it, because his defense is so damn good that they're going to be in some low-scoring games. They can lean on Saquon, and then a couple of big shots down the field to A.J. Brown or Smitty or Dallas Goedert, like we saw today, could be the nail in the coffin in some of these games. That's my only question for Philly. Can they get this passing attack on track? If they can, then we're looking at a team that can win a Super Bowl for real.
In the first half, the Packers really were shutting down almost everything. Really nothing that they could really do, talking about the Eagles offense, could be consistent. And that includes Saquon Barkley, who has been the Achilles heel of this team. Now, that goes for when we look at the second half. I thought that the Eagles did a pretty great job of stringing some drives together outside of the first drive they had that resulted in 3 and out. They were able to score on the rest of their drives for the rest of the game, outside of the ones that they ended up just kneeling out for the clock to end the game. But in this first half, the run and the passing attack really wasn't there. And again, Jalen Hurts didn't have to do much overall in this game. In the first half, they ideally would have liked that. But in the second half, they started to click, both the run and the pass, I would argue. Some big plays being made. Dallas Goedert did a lot of the work on that touchdown play. That was obviously a huge bonus for them. But in a game like this, where your defense has dominated or did dominate in the fashion that they did, it like you mentioned, Joel, it may not be all too essential in games like this one where your passing attack needs to be overwhelming. Now, I'm not going to wash it away and say, hey, you guys don't need to be better. You do, but at the same time, I look at this first half and nothing got going. In the second half, they figured it out, mostly on the ground where Saquon still was able to be effective. But again, in the passing, they had successful plays that led to points, whether it was a touchdown or field goals. So in this one, you give credit to the defense. I'm still not worried about Philadelphia's offense as a whole. I know you're singling out the pass. I'm not worried about that. But in this one, shout out to the defense. On the opposite side, talking about the Packers. Jordan Love, unfortunately, in his last 2 games that he's played in the playoffs, 2 touchdowns, 5 INTs, a completion percentage of 6%. Not great. This one, I'll give him the benefit of doubt a little bit, especially in the second half, as his guys did go down one by one. Of course, send our prayers to Romeo Dobbs, second concussion that he's working through this year. The first one held him out for a good amount of time. This one was even scarier. You mentioned it, Joel, was wearing the Guardian cap, trying to take precaution in this one. Didn't matter. Hope that he's doing all right. And then Jayden Reed, who started to get things going a little bit, he goes and has that play over the middle that he goes and he hurts his shoulder. That was a bummer. Then the wheels really just started falling off after that. Credit to Josh Jacobs. Was the offense all season long? Was the offense in this game? You need more than just Josh Jacobs. You need some game changers. Hopefully they realize that coming into next season. But Jordan Love has to be better. The accuracy has to be cleaned up. And I think that if you get better skill position players, naturally we'll see him also be better. But his decision-making, his accuracy, I think we need to see that improve next year, especially when you are a $220 million man. But this is a tough one. This was going to be a difficult game for the Packers to win regardless. But credit for the Eagles for coming out there in a game versus a solid opponent and handling business.
I think the unfortunate part about the Packers' offensive drives is that whenever they started to get going, something happened, whether it's a penalty or an injury. Like Jordan Love had that nice play to Jayden Reed, and then he hurts his shoulder right on that same play. And it's like, oh, he made a big play for you, and now he's not there the following possession. I think that Love will improve just with better skill position players because he's somebody that takes risks, and he needs players that are able to come down with 50-50 balls, and I just don't think that the Packers offense has that right now.
I think that he tried it, and today he just wasn't on the money. Yes, the UCL injury, maybe that affected some of his throws. That's fair. The deep ball to Ontavian Wicks, shout out to Big Play Slay. He was with him every single step of the way. That interception over the middle to Bond was pretty horrendous, honestly.
That play to Dobbs was awful. The one that got him hurt.
The turnovers were on Jordan today. It wasn't about the skill position players, in my opinion. It was all about bad decision-making.
I'm talking about this season, though. You know, Jordan Love, to me, was underwhelming this season. He was supposed to take a step forward, and I think a lot of the numbers don't look favorable to Jordan Love because of the skill position players really not being there and not really having the true player that you can rely on a down-to-down basis. But this game, no, he was awful. I don't give him any leeway. He was hurt, but he played terrible. You know, in the Niners game, he had the game-sealing interception. That was bad, but he didn't play bad in that game. Up until that moment, he did not play bad in that game. But this game, he played terrible from start to finish. I disagree with you, though. Like, I think the Eagles' offense, it's pretty alarming that they weren't able to run away with this game. Like, this game was much closer than it should have been. In the first half, Jalen Hurts had 33 passing yards. I mean, and this is not really a Hurts thing because, number one, he hasn't played in a month, and I think he did a good job at just avoiding mistakes because had he had a turnover, that could have swung things in Green Bay's favor, but he took care of the ball. I think the biggest thing is I just don't trust Kellen Moore's passing concepts. This is a middle-of-the-pack passing attack this year, and it's not because of a lack of attempts, because the Lions don't have that many passing attempts. They're one of the lowest passing volume teams in the NFL, but they have one of the best passing efficiencies in the NFL. This is a Kellen Moore just not really putting the receivers in favorable spots thing. And it just feels like when you're able to swarm the Eagles rushing attack and you force them into those like 3rd and 8 situations, it just felt like the drive was over. The Eagles, I believe, were 2 for 11 on 3rd down. They got into a lot of 3rd down situations, and it was just straight anemic. They had some penalties here and there, But for the most part, I just think the passing attack really just leaves a lot to be desired. When you have A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, Dallas Goedert, and Saquon, who's able to catch passes out the backfield as well, against a team that has no pass rush. Jalen Hurts was only pressured on 25% of his dropbacks, and that even feels like a stretch because watching it, it felt like he was never under duress. Like, this is just not a viable way to win multiple playoff games, just the passing attack that they're putting out on the field right now.
You worried about it, Riv?
Yes and no. Yes, because I think we left some plays on the board. I think we definitely left some plays on the field too. I think there was a couple times where
The one to AJ over the top with the fake tush push.
Yeah, that was good.
The fake tush push moved the shit out of me, and I thought
That
it
was
a
good.
TD, and he just overthrew him. But I listen, you've been out for a month. I give you some grace for that. But that was a play where I didn't expect us to do that ever, and we showed like in the second half, like Drew mentioned, I felt like the play calling from a passing perspective, it looked a lot better. You had the read option. You had Smitty coming across the middle was a big play in the second half. You had the Dallas Goedert having the wide receiver screen route, I think it was. So we had some good plays, but I do think I'm a little worried, like if we play a team like Minnesota, because I think their defense is legit. I'm a little worried if we play a team like Detroit, but our defense is so good and our run game is so dominant. It's like all we need is a couple big plays in the game from our guys because they're so talented and we'll get it done. But I do want it to get better because I feel like if we can just get it to above average to just good, then I think we'll be really unstoppable. So am I worried about it? For sure. But I also think like I really feel like no team can beat us in Philly. So I'm really only worried about if we have to travel to Detroit because I think in Philly we just, we have like superpowers there. So.
Yeah, I mean, Philly is a hard place to play.
Fair enough.
You
think sorry, real quick. The Eagles defense has been elite all season long. I do like really the one slip up you had was Washington a few weeks ago and Hurts gets banged up in the middle of it. So it's just a weird game. You let up 35, 36 points. The defense is elite. I think Detroit's going to be able to score. Like if you end up playing, Detroit's going to be able to score. I have a hard time thinking that you're going to hold them to like less than 20 points. And you'll just be able to like, squeak out a 24-17 or 20-17 victory. You're going to have to put up points. And that defense for Detroit got banged up. Of course, like it's super banged up. Second half of the year, it was allowing, or as the injuries piled up, the defense got worse and worse. No shit. And then in week 18 against Minnesota, they completely stifled it. And you're like, oh shit, maybe this defense is starting to come around again. Aaron Glenn has figured some things out. So we'll see kind of where they fall there. But that's my big worry is really Detroit. Minnesota to a lesser extent, just because I don't know if I trust Sam Darnold to the same extent as I do Jared Goff. And again, you would be home for that. You would be in Detroit. Yeah. So that's a bit of a different situation. You have to be in on the road hostile environment. But as good as this defense is, I think there's a couple teams in the league when you get to the absolute top of the top, Detroit and whoever comes out of the AFC is going to be able to move the ball.
I don't know. We held Baltimore and the Bengals to under 20 points.
The Eagles defense is legit. Yeah.
Literally every great offense.
And I think those two offenses with the quarterback give you a little bit more than Detroit. So I think the one thing that worries me with Detroit is their combination of their running backs. But I think our run defense is so stout up front. Like, they're going to have to beat us in the air. And that's not to say they can't do it. But, I've seen us go up against Lamar Jackson in Baltimore and Derrick Henry, and we did a really good job. I've seen us go up against Chase and Joe Burrow, and we did a really good job. And then the Commanders the first time, we did a really good job. The second time, they did violate. But I think we've went up against some good defense, good offenses to give me a little bit of hope that Detroit. Minnesota, honestly, I'm a little bit more worried about because of the weapons they have. Like we haven't seen a collection like that outside of Cincinnati. Like they have Jettas, they have Addison, they have TJ.
More worried than the Lions?
Yes and no.
You'd be in Philly for that.
That's why I'm like
the Lions.
I'm good.
There's nothing to stress about.
No, the Lions just have a great offense. They have everything. That's just what they have. Everything.
Respect the Lions.
I don't have any worries or reservations about the Eagles defense. It's really just the offense ineptitude at times. They punted 5 times. Like this is a team with no Jair. This is a team with no pass rush, and they were 2 for 11 on third down. Even the Dallas Goedert touchdown that he had, like just looking at the process of that play, we understand the result. It was a touchdown. The process of it, it was a screen to a tight end.
I hate those plays.
That ended up in a touchdown because Dallas Goedert was just able to overpower Carrington Valentine. But like objectively, I don't know if that's like something that I want to call. And there are just moments where Kellen Moore is calling these passes behind the line of scrimmage when this offensive line is dominating up front. Like there were third down situations where you can drop back and Jalen Hurts has 5 seconds back there, but instead you're running a swing pass to Saquon Barkley and it gets chewed up. Like these are just like certain play calls and moments that I just don't get. Like I want to preface this, like this is not a Jalen Hurts thing. This is a Eagles passing offensive design thing that I just don't think is scaring any defense. I think it's very easy to figure out.
I think that's fair. I will say, I know hindsight's 2020. It was a touchdown. I didn't hate the Goddard play. It was a nice play where you go and you get Goddard in space, and now
Did you see the pass?
him on a weaker dude. Like I think that's a fair decision to make. I forgot what I was going to say really in the grand scheme of things when it comes to Philly. Maybe it'll come back to me inevitably. But regardless, the Eagles defense is amazing. They've gone up against the cream of the crop, and they've been the best by far against the high-level offenses. You look at Denver, who was number one EPA-wise when we went up against top-level offenses. We didn't perform not nearly as dominantly as the Philadelphia Eagles did. And like you mentioned, the only blemish is against Washington, and who wasn't playing? The guy who can go out there and help milk some clock to go and rest the defense. So that's where I think you still have to respect and understand what Philadelphia is doing.
Yeah, I think it's just like if we play Detroit, like they also have an elite offensive line. So that would be the only thing that if we can't beat, that would be a real test of our trench versus their trenches. So
What did you think of the pass?
Oh, it was fucking Dallas almost fell, dude. Like the pass was like strong as shit. Like he literally almost fell. Like that play is just we have so much talent, it's gonna work. That's a legit just we're so talented, this play is gonna work. Because how many tight ends can do some shit like that? Like just almost trip and then hold off a corner for like 20 yards to get a touchdown.
To everyone in the chat that's saying Hurts is trash, Hurts is mid, please explain one reason why he's mid. And actually make it valid that's based on what you're watching opposed of what you're reading online. That's just a genuine statement.
You know,
Dehls, you have a lot of green in your room, man.
He's a Jets and
he's wearing a
Celtics
green
fan.
shirt.
Jets, Celtics, Eagles.
Yeah. No, I just think that where the Eagles are at right now, I just feel like if they don't win the Super Bowl, it will be wildly disappointing because it is the most talented team in the league. Like this is the most stacked team in the league. And this is why we're nitpicking them in this way, because really the only way that they can lose is if they don't show up. If like this passing offense looks the way it looks again, you know, and that's really where the Eagles are right now and where they stand. Like this is the most talented team in the NFL by far. Like the defense is like, you know, the Infinity Stones when Thanos, like Nakobe Dean, that is going to be a loss that I think is underrated that we're not talking about because he was so excellent as a run defender and as a coverage linebacker. But even without him, like there's just so much talent like all around the defense. Like the defensive line, I mean, Milton Williams is gonna get like an $80 million contract in the offseason. Like he's that good. And then you have Ajomo, you have Sweat, you have Nolan Smith who really showed out today and had 2 sacks. Like this team is just stacked.
If we don't win the Super Bowl, this would be year 3 of a failure. This would be 3 years in a row we have failed to complete the mission. Last year we failed to get out the first round. It was a failure at week 12 last year, I'll be honest. Then before that, when we lost to the Mahomes, I don't even care if we lost to Mahomes, that's still a failure because we was so dominant throughout the regular season. So if we don't win this year, this will be 3 years in a row. Nick and Jalen Hurts have failed to get the job done. And, of course, whoever else was on the roster for the past 3 years.
That's nuts to put it on last year, Jalen Hurts. I respect it, though.
So
no,
Drew,
I have to. He wasn't good either.
The defense was horrendous last year, but it's on Jalen. That's where I say that.
Well, the offense, that's why I said after whoever else was on the roster, like the past 3 years, I just don't feel like naming all those people. So I'm naming the important people.
you got an explanation, Drew?
I don't know. I saw a lot of because I said so. He's just mid. The situation.
TTV goes, Hurts can play terrible, and it really won't matter.
Now, name a game where Jalen Hurts has played terrible.
First half was pretty bad. They were up 10-0.
First
Yeah,
half,
he
I would
did-
argue there's one drive. They have one solid drive that led to a field goal. Outside of that, they could do nothing else.
I think the Panthers game is probably one of those games. This
Okay.
year.
And that's the one that had people thinking that he wasn't a top 10 quarterback, and he followed it up with now,
That
he's back in top 10.
It was pretty bad. It was pretty bad.
I think one thing about Philly is just if they don't win the Super Bowl, I just don't know what button you press, because assuming they win another playoff game, are you going to fire Nick Sirianni after making the NFC Championship game? I don't know. You just paid Jalen Hurts $200+ million. You can't move off him. You're going to fire Kellen Moore. He's going to have his third offensive coordinator in 3 years. It's hard to see, like, if Philly doesn't win, what is the move? Because last year was easy. Oh, the coordinators get him out, and to be their credit, they're better, I think, on both sides of the ball, specifically on the defense. But it's hard to see a path where we go into the offseason and Howie's going to do his thing. They'll make improvements. I'm not, worried about any of that. But just from like a quarterback coaching staff situation that has, the most impact in terms of wins and losses and in the big games, I don't know what moves you really make.
I think
Marquin
OT goes.
Underscore
OT goes.
TTV goes, glad you didn't come, Drew. It was not a movie.
Thank God he's right.
Mason McDonough goes, Joel, Baker, or Herbert?
That's my cousin. Shout out to Mason. That's a good question.
Shout out to Mason. I'm going with Justin
lives
Herbert.
in Tampa Bay. That's why.
That's a nut ass question.
I'm a big fan of the Buccaneers, though, and Baker Mayfield. Shout out to you guys.
Big fan of everybody.
Sir Darko III. Javonte Williams will be power washing driveways next fall. Get him out of Denver, please.
Javonte Williams, you'll be missed. Not
Fugly
really, but
Gang DB. I'm an Eagles fan. Can y'all please tell my fellow fans how dog shit this guy is? 55 mil and can't read a defense. That's what I want and need in my quarterback one.
Is he saying he's trash or I'm confused.
He's saying he's terrible,
he's,
yeah.
He's saying he can't read defenses and he's not good.
That's what because that's what I want. Need kind of fucked me up.
Thanks for the donation, bro.
He said that's what he needs in his quarterback. Like, he wants a quarterback that can do that. Yeah,
Mason
according to him.
Lepisinski goes, who would you guys target at wide receiver for Green Bay? Tay, T, Godwin, Metcalf, trade up for Tet McMillan, Luther Burden, or Egbuka. I think Egbuka is just like another wide receiver too, like
I
3.
agree.
So, I think Tet, there are some like explosiveness concerns with him. Luther Burden's a burner. I don't know. They DK, I don't hate it, but I don't think he's a game changer in that way.
I'd want to bet. I'd want it, like, Godwin's coming off the ACL. I don't know. Is Tay going to go back to Green Bay? I don't know. DK.
And he's
are you
not
gonna
that
pay
level
T?
of guy anymore either.
What about Garrett Wilson?
Tay's still really good. Tay would go into that room. He's the best receiver.
I know, but he's not like that level of game changer anymore.
Yeah, but is that level of game changer going to be on the market?
Tyreek Hill.
What's going to happen
Garrett Wilson.
is they are going to not go for any of these guys. They're going to use a day 2 or maybe a day 3 pick on Tez Johnson. And that's just what we've known from the Green Bay Packers.
Love Tez to death. This guy is in the black screen. Love Tez to death, though. That's my dog.
Am I in the black screen?
Oh,
Yeah,
dude,
you are.
And I don't think
your
your mic's
setup
connected.
is hooked up right now currently.
Yeah, you're live as shit,
sorry.
too. Garrett Wilson. He's going to
No.
Green Bay.
Stop.
I'm sorry, Dehls. I'm
Stop.
sorry.
Stop.
It's inevitable.
Stop.
He's leaving.
Stop.
I hate that for you.
So Santos goes and asks me, when am I eating 1,000 turnips? I'll be transparent. I've never eaten a turnip.
Is he going to pay for them?
I don't know. Maybe. I always that this bet was always in the side of me losing. I'll do it. I'm okay with it. We'll see. I've never had one, so I'm interested.
Am I back or is my screen still black?
You're
Because
good. How long would it take you to 1,000 turnips?
Santos, you're the type of person I'd trip in real life. Like, if I see you, I'd trip you.
You just sound like a bully, Riff.
Not like
You said
just
trip?
on purpose. Like, I just like I'd see you walking and I just clip your foot and just trip
Be
you,
friendly to Santos.
you know.
Snipes goes, I have not seen Dehls have a bad sports take. Real shit.
Snipes is talking.
He doesn't really say
Mr.
anything.
Dehls.
That's fucking pussy.
I don't know. I feel like I've been pretty opinionated and you haven't been a fan.
No, you just hate me. So anything you make that's opinionated, it's about me. You know, it's okay though. I'm not mad at you. Last game, let's go. Here we go.
Yeah, the last game, 49 minutes. Did not see that. Okay. The Bills beat the Broncos 31-7. Now, this game started off really, really good. Like, it started good to the point where you're like, The Broncos
on.
might win this
Hold on.
game.
Who knows?
Oh my goodness. Bo Nix third down to Sutton was really cool. The touchdown to Franklin, first time they really connected all year long. You're like, maybe this is something. Drew is over here like Bo Nix has arrived. And then for the rest of the game, just stonewalled. I mean, I don't know what the hell happened, but the Bills dominated time of possession like fuck.
I was going to say, I could tell you what happened. Credit to Josh Allen and James Cook. My fear coming in was that those two were going to be the dominant factors of the offense, particularly in the run game. And they came out at halftime. I believe they had 100 rushing yards in the first quarter, something crazy like that. They just dominated us in that fashion. My connection's horrendous today, boys, and I apologize
You're
to you.
You're here.
We're good, bro.
You're
okay,
good.
You're never bad.
I thought that was a subtle pause.
Yeah.
for you
No,
guys.
nothing subtle about it. My connection's been spotty. But regardless, James Cook and Josh Allen, of course, were the stars of this offense. And James Cook was able to set the tone. We weren't able to stop the run whatsoever. And then they were able to work off the play action, and that led to them taking some big shots. On offense for us, we had an amazing opening drive. I was getting delusional. I swear I was. You know how I get. And then we just really weren't able to be consistent. The run game was like we had seen all season long, non-existent. And then when it came to the passing, can the guys make plays for Bo Nix, please? Like, I'm just on my hands and knees. That third down that Sutton drops leads to us being in a punt formation. I say that because we had to waste a pretty awesome punt pass, Riley Dixon to Marvin Mims. That was exciting for that to lead to no points, to lead to us going ahead and punting the ball regardless. It was a bummer. Our receivers weren't able to make plays. We had Velez drop a ball. We had Franklin drop a ball after he finally caught a deep pass from Bo Nix. This offense just wasn't able to get anything going consistently outside of that first drive and the drive right before half where Bo Nix was consistently going and moving the ball downfield, and it led us to get into field goal range. Will Lutz misses his first field goal since November. But what I noticed throughout this game was that our positive plays were Bo Nix drop, whether that was him going and pushing the ball downfield or going ahead and scrambling and making plays.
Yep.
Okay, Drew's freezing up here.
Yeah.
Drew is freezing up.
It's never easy.
Never.
Were you nervous after the first touchdown?
I actually wasn't nervous at all. Like there was like no form of me that felt nervous. And I said this before, I'm like, it's gonna be crazy when Buffalo comes out the half and beats them by 30. And that's exactly what happened. They came out the half. And what fucked Denver was the fact that they missed that field goal. If they didn't miss that field goal, you have some life. You're sitting there and you're like, all right, we have some life going into the second half. But Buffalo, they pulled the Eagles. They just controlled the clock. Josh Allen, James Cook dominated with their legs, which opened up the field for them. And then Josh Allen had a couple big plays down the field to, Curtis Samuel, to Khalil Shakir, who you just can't seem to tackle him in space at all. He always finds a way to make a move. Keon Coleman made some plays. Like this Buffalo offense, it felt like a sharing the sugar type vibe, and they were able to just get it going. That Bills offensive line, man, it really doesn't get enough credit for just how elite and how the continuity is there with that group. Like they're just from the run game to the protection game. I think the Broncos maybe sacked Josh twice today, which twice. It was like once or twice, but it was a
Zach Allen. That was it.
Zach Allen for sure. But for the most part, this Denver defense didn't show up. Like it did not show up. It could not stop the run. In terms of big plays, it could not stop the big plays, and it was just a simple case of a elite quarterback dissecting the defense. And for Bo Nix, he didn't play bad. I feel like he left some plays on the board for sure, but for the most part, he did. He did, huh?
What plays did he leave on the board in your opinion?
I feel like there was a couple of times on the third down in the second half where he was on the run and he'll throw it to the floor, or he was on the move and he'll throw it a little bit over a wide receiver's head. Just a few times. I wouldn't blame it on him. I just feel like sometimes he bailed the pocket a little bit too fast, which he didn't need to at times. On some situations, though, I feel like this Denver offense just needs more weapons, man. It needs more help. It needs a run game. It needs some wide receivers. You know, I know, Drew, you think Bo Nix does nothing wrong, but just watching the game.
No, I just think that you were just talking nonsense, and that's okay.
I mean, I saw one time he was on the run and threw a duck to Cortland Sutton's feet. So
agreed.
Maybe
That
it
was
was
one
nonsense,
play.
but I mean, there's a few other
The
plays.
near
Not
interception to
Yeah,
DeMar
there's a few
Hamlin.
other plays. I'm just not going to name them all
The game
right
was
now.
over.
Yeah, I mean, the game's never over. It's a playoff game. But
No, there was
they were
literally
down like
2 minutes and it was
25.
3 scores. Yeah,
Listen,
the game was over.
listen, you felt delusional after the first play. You can
Amen.
feel delusional all game. You know what I'm saying? That's
First
all I'm
half,
saying.
it was a 7-10
Yeah,
game.
But I say, Denver just get more offense. You know, you exceeded expectations anyways. You know, you made the playoffs. You got your first little shine in. Get Bo Nix more weapons. See what he can do next year. That defense keep building off what you did this year. You shouldn't feel slighted in how you lost. Honestly, like this is a 13-win team, number 2 seed in the AFC. Like it's not a big deal.
Is it 13 or 14? It's one of the two, but
It's
still,
one.
yeah, they're an elite team. I just looked at this right now. The Bills had 41 minutes time of possession. Oh my God.
Dude, we could not get off the field to save our
They had
lives.
long
Every
ass
third
drives.
down, they were getting it. They had 10 first downs in the first 2 quarters, something stupid like that.
Drew, why does Sean
471 yards.
Drew, why does
total
Sean
offense.
Payton keep trying to run the ball?
There's an epidemic in the league, Riv.
Yeah,
There's
listen,
an
that's the thing with that
epidemic.
is you know, the Bills really dominated the time possession from start to finish, first half, second half. Just in the first half, they were just not converting their touchdowns, but the Ty Johnson touchdown kind of just swung the pendulum.
Ty Johnson being this damn good.
He's
like,
always
out of
been
nowhere.
damn
No,
good.
he was never this fucking good. I promise you, he was never this damn good.
Listen, we have
He
we
was
have we have Jets legends
No way.
performing this weekend. We really do.
Ty Johnson was never this good.
He had a good game.
I'm
No,
trying
that
to
blew
think.
mine. PJ Lott getting burned, that killed me.
Bills and Broncos, we have Ty Johnson performing at a high level. Packers and Eagles, Mekhi Becton.
Midnight,
Commanders,
You asked me a
Buccaneers.
question. You asked me a question before my screen went out. What was
Yes,
that?
I asked you why Sean Payton keeps trying to run the ball.
Because you have to try and establish any type of run game if you're trying to have a consistent offense.
Did you see how Bobby Slowick just said, "Fuck this, we're not running the ball anymore"?
It was smart.
He froze up.
I'll be honest. There's certain situations like running the ball is important, but the 2 biggest problems I had this weekend were the Steelers and the Broncos. Running the ball on second and fucking long, like you're not a 10-point underdog going up against the most efficient offenses, 2 of the most efficient offenses in NFL history. You have to go into these games understanding what you're going up against. You already at such a disadvantage offensively. Bo Nix, Josh Allen, all of the weapons they have. Same thing, Lamar Jackson against Russell Wilson and those weapons. You're at such a disadvantage. You have to be aggressive. That's why I love Sean Payton, the fake punt. You need to steal possessions because Josh Allen, number 1, doesn't take any sacks. The fact that you sacked him at all is a W, and he doesn't turn the ball over. So you need to find ways to steal possessions. Fake punt, genius, amazing. I thought that was a great idea, and it worked. But to be so conservative running the ball, especially when you're already down by 2 touchdowns, like at this point, to third quarter, you're down multiple scores. Why are we running the ball on 2nd and 10? We need to score touchdowns. We can't score field goals. And the defense was trying to keep them in it. They had a couple of big stops in the red zone to try to keep it like a, 2 touchdown-ish game until the wheels fell off. But man, it was infuriating this weekend seeing teams that are such underdogs who have to be damn near perfect on offense to have a chance to win the game, be so conservative and not even give themselves a chance.
Yeah. This is where I'm at right now with the Bills. They're going to face the Ravens, and I think it's a bad matchup, but we just kind of saw in this game that the best defense for the Bills is to keep their defense off the field and just control clock, because their defense really is, they just cannot generate stops. And the Broncos defense, I think it's an interesting storyline because not all the time you have upward trajectory. And I think the Chargers are facing a similar dilemma because the Broncos and the Chargers have finished this season basically beating little to no 500 teams this year. With the Broncos, it's, will the defense be this elite next year? That's a question mark, because against every top quarterback, they got thrashed. And this game was like the biggest example of it.
Mahomes.
They are, hey, watch your mouth. They were light up front, and they have a lot of speed rushers. but against the run, they kind of get overpowered. Like, Nick Bonito, he made all-pro second team. He was a Pro Bowler, had a great season. Deion Dawkins, took him out the game completely.
Big dude, man.
And whenever he would get hands on him, Deion Dawkins would overpower him and leverage him. He did a great job protecting Josh Allen. And then with the weapons thing, the Broncos need a tight end. They need another receiver. They need a running back. Is the offensive line going to repeat its elite performance next year? Bo Nix held the ball for 3 seconds, time to throw this season, and he was the second lowest pressure quarterback in the league. Number 1 was Tua. But we know that Tua more so doesn't get pressure because he releases the ball so quickly. Bo Nix is holding the ball forever and not getting pressured because the offensive line is really good up front. Does that continue to stay the same? And really, in the second half, you look at the drives that the Broncos had. It was 13-7 at this point. McLaughlin run goes for 1 yard. Javonte Williams run goes for 4 yards. 3rd and 5, incomplete, 3 and out, you punt. They're down 7-21 because the Bills score. 1st and 10, Javonte Williams, 3-yard run. Badi, 1 yard run, 2nd and 7. 3rd and 6, penalty, false start. It's 3rd and 11. Bo Nix incomplete, and it's a 3 and out. They started those drives with runs, and then they quickly got off the field. Now, that to me is Sean Payton not trying to put too much on Bo Nix's plate in a playoff game? Because I think he probably should have trusted him a little bit more. I think Bo Nix is better when he feels loose and he kind of has his adrenaline up. We saw that against the Bengals in their last drive when he just drove them down the field. When he kind of plays amped up like that, I think that's when he makes the best plays. But in this game, when the game slowed down, it just, you really saw it hit him. And on those 3rd and longs, it's just a tough spot to put him in on the road.
Yeah, the drive right before the half, I'll make it quick because my connection's horrendous per usual. The drive right before half, we kind of saw that Bengals type of scenario where, hey, we got limited amount of time, let's go and make some plays. And we saw the offense moving. We saw it really clicking, and we got into field goal range, and unfortunately, Lutz wasn't able to score. And I agree with you. Now we saw multiple drives where it was run, pass, and that obviously is a recipe to not succeed when our run game's as poor as it is. And then it doesn't help that our skill position players weren't making plays when we needed them to. It was a bummer. We failed today. There's definitely some positives to take from this and look forward to the future. I have a pillar at quarterback, and I'm excited for the first time. I believe in my quarterback going into the upcoming season. Hopefully we can get skill position players around him, and we can go and we can get a linebacker, somebody that can cover the middle of the field and can also be a gap in the run. That's something that we desperately needed in this game, and we didn't have that.
Drew,
This is sorry, Rip, go.
Quick question, Drew. So you got draft coming up, free agency coming up. Which one do you use to focus on offense, and which one do you use to focus on defense if you had to choose?
In my opinion, our first 2 draft picks should be offensive players. Okay. Whether that first round is a tight end, all Denver Twitter is telling you the same thing, and I 100% agree. Tyler Warren from Penn State, tight end. 2nd round, Trayvon Henderson. That would be a perfect draft, in my opinion. You get 2 difference makers right off the bat. You get a safety blanket for Bo Nix, and both Trayvon Henderson and Tyler Warren. And I think with our free agency money, I believe it's going to be around $50 million that we do have available for us to spend. Hey, maybe we're in the conversation to go ahead and sign T. Higgins, but if that's not the case, then I would like us to go ahead and address our concerns at linebacker, at getting another safety, and maybe just getting a lower level caliber of wide receiver. Maybe we get Chris Godwin, who's still pretty good, on a lesser deal because he is injured.
Okay. So this the last thing I'll leave you guys with, you guys in the audience both. Number 1, the Bills. Looking at rbsdm.com, which you can look at like the advanced box scores and look at players' EPA per plays and success rates on the day. The Bills on all series had an 86.7% offensive success rate. When they started with a rush, they had an 80% success rate. When they started with a pass, they had a 100% success rate. Looking at the Broncos, all of their series, they had a 68.4% success rate. When they started with a rush, it was 42.9%. When they started with a pass, it was 83.3%. When you look at Bo Nix, his early down passes, he had a 56% success rate on those. His late down passes, he had a 27% success rate on those. So they didn't put him in a lot of those early down situations. And then he, on late downs, the whole entire offense struggled. So I think it definitely was a wrinkle in Sean Payton's game plan today. Really not exploiting the Bills defense. They're one of the worst screen teams in the NFL. And they
I'll
didn't
also
do
say
nothing against
Broncos
them.
love screens.
When the game was about over and we went for it on 4th down, that last 4 downs on 2nd and long, we decide to go and run a little screenplay to Marvin Mims, which has been cash for us, but that was a negative play. And then we go and we run it on 4th down, a little boot to get Javonte Williams the ball on 4th down. Those were the 2 worst plays of the drive, and they were gimmicky plays. When Bo Nix was actually trying to pass the ball, that we saw some level of success. That's what kind of killed me in this game. When you let Bo Nix pass the ball, we more often than not saw it be a positive play, whether it was with his legs or passing the ball. I just think we just need skill position players to go out there and have at least Sean Payton trust this pass offense a little bit more.
Now Mason has the super chat. This is gonna be the last one. Mason goes, appreciate the responses, my guys. Much love. Pick a side. Shout out to Mason. Shout out to Mason. He's a good dude.
That picture.
What's wrong with the picture?
It's like him in the bathroom with like the lighting. It's like deep in. It's like dark the light. I don't know. It's giving model. Maybe he's a model, man.
It's just a regular bathroom selfie.
Usually when you have a bathroom selfie, the lights are on.
Yeah. I mean, it looks like the light is on. Maybe the light's just not that bright here. I don't know.
Looks like 6'5", too. He might be taller than you, Dehls.
Analyzing this. Okay. Well,
We got one more super chat.
okay. Do we? Okay.
Good
Marquin TV. If Lamar wins the Super Bowl, where do y'all put him all time?
Top 5.
Is this you in disguise, Dehls?
Yep.
Maybe like, I don't know, like 8, 7. I don't know.
Top 10 for sure.
Yeah,
Is he
he's a
better
top-
than Rodgers with a chip?
Shit. Maybe.
No.
Not yet.
Rodgers has 4 MVPs.
Mars got 3.
Gotta
I
get one
know.
more.
Maybe.
It
On
depends.
pace.
He's probably he made first team All Pro. They vote on the same thing, so they vote on the awards too. So
Oh, if Lamar loses
He's the
MVP,
favorite now.
I don't know how it's possible, truthfully.
Yeah, he made first team All Pro, right?
Yes.
It's pretty much guaranteed that.
He's
By
the
a
favorite. He's
decent
like
amount,
minus
too.
250 now.
Yeah, that'd be
It was
weird.
a decent amount. It really wasn't that close.
Yeah.
that'd be weird.
He's
if
top
he-
10 comfortably. At what is he, 28?
is he better than Ben Roethlisberger?
What if if he chokes again on Sunday, where does he drop?
Who?
Lamar.
He's not choking.
Okay, just asking. Anything can happen.
Where's Josh going to drop? He chokes.
He doesn't choke in the playoffs. It really happens.
Yeah, I'm afraid he's a little bit right on this one, Dehls.
I don't know. I watched Josh Allen choke against the Bengals a couple years
So I
back.
said it rarely happens.
He did not play well against.
I
them. You know,
also watched Josh Allen choke on that throw over the middle of the field against the Chiefs last year.
He didn't choke that game though.
But the biggest play of the game, you could argue he choked.
Didn't Peyton Manning choke half of his career?
Correct.
now Mason says he's 6'5" on a good day, more like
I knew-
6'4".
Dehls.
See, here's the thing. I'm not lying. I'm here accepting the truth.
Well, Josh Allen rarely chokes.
But he chokes, like
No, it like rarely happens. You know, we can.
They
we
play
can-
Sunday, 6:30.
I'll be there, Dehls.
I'll be there. I hope you're there.
I'll be there. You know
I
what I'm
hope
saying?
so.
I'll be there. You know, I'll be there. Watch them. Hopefully, my boy. I just need my boy to play great, man. Play great. Show out. Do his thing. You know, it's gonna be a slobber knocker. We've been waiting for this one. This is like the best game of probably the playoffs. that we
Probably.
might get.
It might be better than the Super Bowl.
So if the Vikings win tomorrow, where's the pick'em rankings now?
if the Vikings win, I believe you're up 1.
Okay, I stopped keeping count because Dehls is just so far ahead of everything.
I don't care either. I'm having
In
fun.
for second place.
Yeah.
Broncos are
guys.
out. I officially have no horse in this race.
This is about pride.
Yo, Drew, pull up.
Eagles?
Pull up.
I don't hate that. Let's do it.
Oh no, you got Detroit and you got Ramley.
You know what? I'll tell you what. The Rams, love them always, but
You have Detroit.
Jalen
You got-
Hurts.
This guy was trying to get me a jump on the Ramley 4 days ago. Now he's like, I don't know.
What do you
Whatever.
mean? We're winning tomorrow. I needed you to ride one more week. Can you give me one more day? And you said no. Fuck you, Drew.
Because I got Sam.
Day room.
Well, that's going to do it for our time here. Thank you guys for watching. We know it's late night. If you guys are catching this after the fact, shout out to you guys. Make sure you guys like this and also subscribe to the channel. We will be back possibly Tuesday, maybe Monday night we'll record. It depends. We'll keep you guys updated on our socials. And thank you guys for watching. You guys can follow us on Twitter at PickAsidePod, on Instagram and TikTok at PickAsidePodcast. And we'll see you guys next time.